All right, guys, welcome to the podcast. It is season 2, and got some changes going on. And I don't know if you haven't noticed, we got Drake here, my dude. FYI, there's no like weird thing that happened or falling out or anything like that. Jesse is still the home dog. He's just got other stuff in his life right now. So that's it. No hard feelings. We still best. I was actually just over there yesterday. Dude's doing great. He's got a home office now. Bro's living it up. So, but we got Drake. He's been, how long have you been shooting for now?
I would say professionally, maybe like they're coming up on 3 years now.
Coming up on 3.
But I mean, we've been messing around with cameras for a little bit now. But nothing crazy, nothing professional, nothing that anyone would see and be like, oh, that guy has a living with cameras.
Right.
So,
but hey, so we're both in the wedding industry. We both like and enjoy doing commercial stuff as well. So, I mean, what's your gear rundown, dude?
So right now we're shooting on the R5. That's my workhorse.
Nice.
It takes like 95% of everything that I do. Just because like when we go out, I do still shoot stills a lot. Also having a hybrid setup is really nice. I haven't made the jump to a video only cinema line camera yet. Like I know some people have.
We'll get to it. All right.
But no, the R5 catches 90% of my work, and then back up on the R6. Just because I couldn't, as much as I would love to spend another $4,000 on a B camera, right? The R6 still shoots in the same log, like it shoots in the same everything that I needed to do as a B camera.
True.
So I couldn't justify spending another let me put it. I could justify it. Our financial secretary at home couldn't justify spending another $4,000.
Says no.
It says no. Yeah.
Bad.
The accounting office said we can't do it. It's not a thing.
That's fair. So okay, R5, R6. What do you do audio with?
So it depends on the situation. I do a slew of everything. We run Rode shotgun mics when we're out and about running gun. I use a lot of the Rode wireless Go-2s. As much as everyone wants to hate them, they still work.
If it works, it works.
And then our main audio is the Tascam X8. That's gets plugged into all of our soundboards.
The beefy boy.
It is that is the one that we rely on the most.
Right.
That we need. Like if anything's gonna work, that's gonna work.
Yeah. Hey.
Which is super nice too because it takes XLR, it takes 1/4 inch, and if you take the microphones off the top, it'll take a TSSC, right? So
wait, does it really?
It does. That's so at weddings. Little known fact. That's how I record vows, right? I always get a cut of audio for the vows like just before anything happens by themselves to get a clean cut. I plug a lav mic into the top where the microphone goes and record them to the X8 like that.
I didn't even know that was an option.
Absolutely. And
I have the same recorder.
You'll get cleaner audio than like the wireless Go-2s, right? Because the wireless Go-2 is not 32-bit float. So anytime I can use the X8 for anything, I'm going to use it.
Dude, FYI, if you guys don't know about 32-bit float when recording audio, personally, I think it's a must. Because you will never, and I literally mean this, you will never mess up audio ever again. Even if they're whispering or if they're screaming at the top of the lungs, you have it, and it's actually what we're using right now. So you get to experience the podcast through the X8.
Listen, unpopular opinion. Put it in auto gain, put the recorder on hold, go get it at the end of the night. I've never had a problem with audio. That coupled with all the fantastic audio software that's in like any editing suite now,
for real,
you will get perfect audio every time.
Dude, especially with that X8. Like I know we're like raving about it on a little tangent, but like, dude, it is so good and worth every single penny. Just to have like the peace of mind, knowing that it's got like you're not gonna peak it. It's not gonna be too quiet. You can always pump up the gain on it later in post. And it cleans up super well, and it's like crispy clear.
Well, and that's the thing. Like for the price that you pay for it, you get 4 XLR outputs, 2 other top mounted microphone outputs, all in 32-bit float, all simultaneously.
Yeah.
And on the I think in ours right now I have like a 256 gigabyte card in it.
Yeah.
Eight hours.
God.
Right, 8 hours of audio.
This is not going to be an 8-hour podcast, don't worry.
For the price that you pay for, and they're regularly on sale.
Yeah,
There's
always a discount.
You will never ever beat that price.
That, some rechargeable batteries, audio, check.
Yeah,
Like,
and you can power it via USB-C.
yeah,
So
like,
you can't beat it.
yeah, no. In my opinion, I hate this word so much, but it has to be used in it. It's a game changer, especially if you're doing weddings. Just a must, just a must have. If you don't want to sit there, just be buying like piece after piece after piece, like just one and done.
So for everybody listening at home, right? Since this is episode 1, we're gonna make a new game starting right now. It's called Words That Chris Hates to Use. And we're just gonna keep a list, like it's like bingo, right? So game changer. If you're following along, game changer, word number 1. Just keep a list going.
Just keep the list going.
I can't wait till cinematic comes up. Like,
Oh, don't get me started on that one. Oh, I hate it so much. It's like that one thing that's been abused so much, and that, but like literally when people like talk about cameras, they'll be like, "Oh, but like the image is so cinematic," and I'm like, "How?
well, it's
How
like,
is it cinematic?"
it's turned into that reel sound. Like, and I'm sure everyone who listens to this is familiar with Instagram, watches reels. It's like, you sure about that?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
sure about that?
People just slap it on now. It's like it's almost like it's a branding term now, right?
Yeah, it's so cliche now. When they're like, "Yeah, my shot's really cinematic," I'm like, "How? What made it cinematic?"
I'm not seeing it, man.
Gosh, but anyways, we got quite a bit of like gear changes throughout the thing. Like he mentioned earlier, I got a C70 that's actually filming both of us. I got a really wide angle on it right now, but my first cinema camera. Goodness, I did a video on my channel, ChipX Hazard, on YouTube, and dude, it blew my mind. I borrowed my buddy's, and yeah, then after using C-Log 2, which if you're a Canon person and you haven't used C-Log 2 before,
It's the best.
we're gonna use the word again.
I-
Freaking A.
Listen,
It's a game changer.
I spent an extra, and don't get me wrong, the R5 is not cheap by any means.
No.
I spent another $1,000 just on an Atomos and everything
Yeah.
just to be able to record in C-Log 2. It
it's
to me, it was that
so
worth it.
It's so good.
I actually think one of the best shots, or one of the shots that you have liked the most that I've ever taken, the one you remember when we did the flower shoot with my Porsche.
Oh yeah.
That was C-Log 2.
Yes, that was
Like,
C-Log 2.
and it was like
It's
Chris is a good friend of mine. Chris has never been like, dude, this is it right here, except for that shot. He's like, this is that
dude,
shot.
that is a money shot, and it's in the intro. I need that shot from you, so when I build the intro for this, that needs to be in there.
Absolutely.
That is, you'll know the shot because it's just straight gold. I'm just gonna say
that's
that.
how good C-Log 2 is. My man has never ever been like, that's a shot. First time I use it, he's like, dude, that's the shot.
Yeah, it's so
course.
good, so good. Anyway, C-Log 2. If you never played with it, dude, it's the GOAT for Canon video. Just saying that. Like, I shot a little short film, and I shot it all in RAW on the R3, which, good heavens, that's a lot of space.
I'm about to say, that's a lot of space.
But it was so I could use C-Log 2.
Worth it, 100%
But it was
worth it.
all my shots came out exactly the way I wanted, and it was just also if you didn't want to, I feel like for Canon, like if you want a camera that doesn't overheat though, like you're dropping like $5,000 minimum.
Dude, don't get an R5.
Yeah.
It doubles as a line cook at Wendy's, man. It's
It
frying,
has a second job.
it's frying eggs left and right.
Like I bought the R3 because of that, and then everyone was like, "Well, why don't you have an R5?" I'm like, "I had an R5." I was like, "I had to buy this so I could get through a wedding without overheating."
Dude, it can be so bad. Like, there's obviously like you learn to like shoot around it,
Oh yeah,
but like I said, we were just talking earlier.
but if
like,
you don't have to,
we were just in Puerto Rico for the weekend for a wedding, man, where it was 95 degrees with it twice.
It's just so hot, especially like if you don't know, we're in Jacksonville, Florida, which I know is the northern part of Florida, but it is still just cooking.
Oh yeah,
Here. If you're in Florida, it's just hot, humid, and like cameras when you're everywhere else that I've shot, like they do perfectly fine. We've been to Utah, we've been like Denver, Colorado, like we've been quite a few places, like Seattle. I've never had an overheating issue with cameras there. Bring them back home to Florida, dude, they don't last.
well, it's
they
like
don't.
if you get on any like Facebook page or Facebook group, like talking about R5s or like wedding videographers stuff like that, and people are talking about R5s, you almost every time when they ask the question, hey, how bad does it overheat? I've seen people post like, I don't want to hear from anybody who doesn't live in Florida.
Right.
Right. It's almost like we're the standard.
Yeah.
Us, Texas,
Right.
something like this. Like
Texas is
like
super hot. I'll give you guys that.
If you own an R5 in Florida or Texas or something like that, those people are asking you the questions. They're like,
yes,
you guys are the standard.
Hey, how does it hold up in Florida? And like, it doesn't. How about that? like I also have the Fujifilm X-H2S. Good Lord. The naming scheme. Can we just get that together, first of all? But that camera actually does really well. I've shot 2 weddings where the ceremony was on the beach and then the reception was outside. I was just drenched in sweat by the end of the day.
Oh, for
but
sure.
it never overheated. I got a warning sign, but it never overheated. And that was 9 hours of straight shooting. So if you don't want to drop $5,000, but you want an alternative, that camera does great.
Well, listen, shout out to Canon because they essentially did the same thing with this, like the last firmware for the R5.
Oh yeah,
right. You know that the warning you're talking about.
Yeah.
So now instead of like, it's super dumb. Camera used to get hot and it was shut down. Well, now Canon thought it was a good idea. It was like, we're gonna fix it with firmware. So now we're gonna tell you it's getting hot, but we're just gonna let it keep cooking until it just like cooks itself to death.
Until the sensor just burns out.
That's essentially how they're like, hey, we can fix the overheating problem. How? We're just gonna let it cook. They just turned off the automatic shutdown and like, if it catches on fire, it catches on fire.
I mean, I've only had that warning shown up once on my R3, and it still shot for another 3 hours and still never overheated. So they did great on the R3.
Oh yeah.
The C70 should never have an issue. It's got a freaking fan. So.
Yeah, and of course the overheating was so bad on the R5, they came out with the R5C.
Yeah,
like that was the don't
we
let
fixed it.
Don't let it fool you. It wasn't that we're trying to come out with a hybrid cinema camera. No, it was a direct response to the R5 literally catching things on fire.
It's literally an R5 with a fan slapped on the back. They just went, get back out there, champ.
Yep.
go make us some more money.
and the great part about it, if you were using any scratch audio from your R5, don't even think about the R5C. Because now it sounds like a 757 taking off and that fan kicks on.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I've never, Jesse has one. He loves it.
So the next time that you are over there and with him, let it get hot. Really? Or go in the settings and kick the fan on, shoot something, and then listen to it in post.
Really?
Dude, that's all you hear.
I mean, you need that power to cool that sucker down. Yes. I mean, but gosh, the trade-off is pretty decent though, because you get unlimited 8K and then unlimited 4K 60, and I found out it's all oversampled.
Yep,
is what he's told me.
It is.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
It is, but
that's solid.
I'm gonna be very honest with you, and this is hot take. Right? If you're looking for something that can do that, R6 Mark II.
True.
All right, because let's talk about the Mark II. Right, you're gonna get a waveform now. Right, which is huge. Like from a video perspective,
C70's got it.
Huge.
It's covering your face, but
no record times.
Yeah,
you're gonna get that unlimited 4K 60, and they did such a good job with the heatsink on the inside that it's almost promised. Unless you shoot like 8K raw, it's not gonna overheat on you.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the R6 Mark II doesn't shoot 8K. So I mean,
it might later. Firmware, Canon firmware.
I was like, wait, it's only got, because it's got what, 20?
No, you're right.
6 megapixels?
It's 20, yeah, I think it's like 24, 26.
Yeah. Oh, who knows anymore? I mean, maybe they'll give it 6K.
Listen.
Probably not. It's Canon. It's Canon, let's be honest.
It definitely has 6K, but we're waiting for that 8K firmware update. Canon, please.
Right, Canon.
Nobody wants pixel shift on the R5. All right, we want
that. I'm sorry. Hold on. Another random rant.
Or I'm sorry. IBIS stabilized photo. Sorry.
Like why? I'm sorry. I know people like. Here's the thing. If you're, I know so many photographers. First of all, what are you doing with 50 megapixels in the first place? Like, I know so many photographers that use like the Sony R5, is it A7R5 or R4?
I think it's the R4.
Yeah, 60 megapixels in that sucker. Granted, image is beautiful, but I'm like, what do you need 60 megapixels for?
Well, I mean, right now we are in the Cold War of cameras.
Yeah, that's true.
What manufacturer can pump out the biggest sensor, possible.
It's like we're back into the megapixel war that no one asked for.
It's exactly what you're in.
Like, why? Like, and Canon goes, oh, yeah, well, we can do a pixel shift for 400 megapixels that you don't want.
Oh, but just make sure nothing is moving.
Yeah, nothing can move. Absolutely nothing.
Camera, subject, nothing.
So you have a model, she can't move for 10 seconds.
Yeah, so it's really
Blinking,
great.
out the window.
It's super great for like product photography.
Yeah.
Macro photography.
That's so niche. So niche. But even then, those people are probably benefit from spending that money on like something like, I don't know, like a phase camera, like a phase 1, or like a Hasselblad.
Well, and
that medium format is going to benefit them way more than pixel shift.
And that's the thing. The people who are in those fields see it and they're like, we're not going to use this.
They're like, they already have a setup.
And the people who aren't in these fields are like, well, it's useless because nothing can move, so I'm not going to use it.
So it was the most random, weird update that no one asked for. I just doesn't make sense.
Well, it's almost like they just the engineers over at Canon are like, what can we do that no one else has done, right? So like on your R3, right? I forget what update it was, but the update where like essentially the camera goes black for 10 seconds, but it takes like 100 photos, that burst shooting mode or whatever, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it'll shoot like, I want to say it's 50 photos in 0.9 seconds.
Yeah, but the camera's like completely for like 10 seconds is useless.
You can't use it. It just, because it has to save the photos.
Right, so it's like,
but
it's great for catching that one moment.
Yeah, if that's all you're looking for to catch, gold. It'll do it.
Yeah.
It's still a monster of a camera.
Oh, for sure.
I'll carry the R3 with me till it freaking dies. Like, that sucker's dying with me. But I don't know. It's just my one gripe with it is in video. Like, why doesn't it have C-Log 3? I spent $6,500.
It doesn't have C-Log 3?
Sorry, C-Log 2.
Oh, no, I was about to get mad for you.
It has C-Log 3.
Oh.
Which is, I guess for most cases is fine. But like, I spent $6,500 for you to not give me C-Log 2, and the only way I can get it is to shoot RAW. Come on now.
No.
Come on. Here's the thing. I spent that much money. You better be giving me every freaking feature there is. I don't care if it has a C or not on it. Like, it's just, it's like the most little petty,
for sure,
Canon thing you could do is like, we give you everything in the book, no overheating, amazing autofocus, which I will say if you rely on autofocus, R3 is, in my opinion, top of the charts. I have not used a camera that beats it autofocus wise, and I have used a lot of cameras. So, but like, I don't get it. It's like you gave me everything in the kitchen sink, but you took the faucet.
But yeah.
You're like, cool, have a good kitchen. I'm taking this though.
Yeah.
You're like, what? Why?
Well, no, I feel very similar to all the hype around the R1, right? You know, they've been talking about it for years now. It's unofficially been confirmed now, you know, from Canon execs and interviews. And I'm telling you right now, if the R1 comes out and it doesn't shoot ProRes internal, I'm going to burn somebody's house down. Nikon's doing it already with the Z9.
It's already there.
Right.
My freaking Fuji has
it.
The
Fuji's
That's
can do
$2,500.
The Sony's can do it. If the R1 comes out and it can't shoot ProRes internal, I'm going to burn someone's house down. I am being serious.
Because here's the thing: that's my R3, by the way. So if I keep pointing at it and saying R3, that's why. But here's the thing: if the R3 is $6,500,
you're looking at least 8. 8 to 10.
It has to be at least $1,000 more.
Yeah.
With what they're probably gonna put in it, like, there's no way it can't. Like, it better in a boxing match. It better KO my R3 in at least the second round.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, I don't know. It needs, price wise, that's just going to be.
You can't talk about
so out there.
Building a flagship camera for years and then not just come out of the gates with like King of the Hill flagship camera.
It cannot have a cripple. It cannot. It better have C-Log 3. It better have C-Log 2. It better have RAW internal. It better do a full sensor readout. Like, at that price point, people are dropping so much money. It has to have everything, literally everything. Like minimum, probably 45 megapixels, backside illuminated, stacked. That probably means nothing to some people, but like,
and not back ordered by a year.
yeah,
That's enough. Let's talk about that. Not
yeah.
back ordered by a
I
year.
mean, I was lucky enough. Like Jesse bought this, pre-ordered the moment they announced the pre-order, and he didn't like it, which is fine. Like I know
That happens. Yeah.
not every camera's built for everyone, but like the moment I shot with it, he let me use it. I'm like, I want it.
This is for me.
I need this camera because I'm very run and gun, but I also flip flop really quick between photo and video. So even when it's like I was only hired for video on a wedding day, I'll still end up with like 100 photos when I get home.
Oh yeah, and that's something else you better have too.
Yeah.
Because now a lot of your new Canon cameras are having a dedicated photo switch and a dedicated video switch.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great thing to have because like
really
on the
handy.
R5, right? You have to go back into the settings, change the video. And I mean it's quick, but it's not near as quick as just flipping a switch.
Dude,
And having
it's
all your
so-
settings ready to go.
It's so incredibly fast and handy, especially like on wedding days, everything's like this. Like it's go 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 go. There's no stop. There's no
And a lot of times
Yeah.
there's no pre-warning.
yeah.
Things are just happening.
It just rolls, and you just gotta run with it, and you better be like on your toes. But that's the thing is like your camera also has to keep up with you.
Yes.
And I used to run with 2 cameras because for some stupid reason I thought I could handle weddings both photo and video by myself. Not recommended in any way, shape, or form.
I don't know how you're still here. I'm glad you're still here, but I don't know how you're still here doing that.
It was crazy for a while. Now Kara does the photos for me. I'm like, oh, we're doing photo, video. I'll take video.
Yes.
And then you do the photos. But the photo is still really fun though. But yeah, like I've outran so many cameras and like had to wait on buffering and stuff like that. I used to have like 2 cameras on me at all times. One was photo, one was video.
Oh, like at the same time. Like we're
At the
going at the
same
same time.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So like ceremony exit was like this, and I would hit the shutter for video, start it, hold it, and photos is on top of it and just blasting away.
I need to see a picture of this. I need.
It was just me. How am I supposed to have a pic?
If you've ever been at a wedding where Chris did this,
I don't do that
and
anymore.
it's like an old iPhone photo, please send it to us.
I would love that. I want it. Send it to me.
Well, it's almost like the so like when we shoot Super 8, we shoot Super 8 a lot for
Yeah.
some of our clients that want it, and I sent you a picture.
Yeah.
And I was
You
like,
just,
I had put a mount. I had made a mount for like one of my video lights, and I put it in the hot shoe of the cages on my R5, and I threaded the bottom of the Super 8
Oh my
onto it,
gosh.
and so they were pointing it the same way. So I literally could do the same thing: hit the shutter, and then stabilize the R5 with my bottom hand, and then reach up and pull the trigger on the Super 8 and walk it,
It
simultaneously.
works.
It did work. It came out
works.
great. It looked weird, but you know what? Trust the
Hey.
process. It did exactly what I
Yeah.
needed it to do.
People give you funky looks all the time, but hey, if it works and gets the job done, it works.
Oh,
and the
dude.
job is done.
Funky looks. I put it on Instagram because I thought it was funny. Like, hey, like sometimes you do what you got to do. I got messages from people like, "You're an idiot." People literally were like, "You don't know what you're doing." I'm like, "Okay, great. Guess what? It came out great. The
Yeah.
footage looks fantastic. So here we are."
Right? I'm the one who got paid for it.
Ex-
Thanks. Who's
exactly.
the idiot here?
Yeah. You know what? They paid me to do this, so.
Gosh, especially on the internet nowadays, like people will just come out of the woodworks and have no correlation with you or relationship with you or anything, and they'll be like, "You're stupid for doing that." And you're
Don't
like,
get me started, man.
like, I had one dude. Okay,
Yeah, sorry guys. We're very limited by the R5 here, and it's 30-minute record time limit because for some reason again, Canon, I'm looking at you. We still have to deal with that. So
yeah, it's still there for some reason. But anyways, what I was saying, so like, the X100V is like all the rage. Like it's sold out everywhere. If you can find one, it's darn near double the price, like $2,800, which do not pay that, please. Like it's a $1,400 camera, and it functions and works like a $1,400 camera. Like it's a phenomenal camera. It's great,
but it's a $1,400
but it's a $1,400 camera. Don't go out here paying all that money for something that is not worth that value. Like it's great, it's a great everyday carry, but like it is not worth that price point. But here's the thing, I had that camera before the hype. I got rid of it because I needed something a little bit beefier. But on a lot of my shoots, it held up really well, like surprisingly well. And this guy, like, came out of the woodworks for some reason and was like, "This is not a professional camera. It will not do professional work." And I'm like, "You must not be a professional photographer
Right.
because I've shot a wedding on it. I've shot a commercial project on it. Like the company like gave me certain things to shoot and I shot it all on that camera. Because they weren't there, so I'm like, well, I want to see what this camera can do. And keep in mind, this is before certain firmware updates. Like now you can use like the ND filter in video and stuff like that. Like that was not a thing when I had it. So to me, it wasn't as useful as it is now. But like I shot those things on it, delivered them to the client. Client had no idea, and loved it, and I got paid and everything from it.
Listen,
And
and
he,
that's something that people don't talk about more. Like the client doesn't know what the client doesn't know.
yeah,
And obviously, as a professional, you're always going to give the client 100% of your work.
yeah,
You're going to give them 100% of what they paid for and the value that they paid you to give them, right? But at the
exactly,
end of the day, the client does not know what the client does not know.
100%.
The camera is just a tool,
It is
right? And it's a tool depending on whose hands it's in. You could go out there right now and find somebody who's been doing this forever, like let's say an actual cinematographer, someone who's been in the industry for 20, 30 years, shot on some like major things, and hand them $1,000 camera. And I guarantee you when they get done with it, it's going to look fantastic, right? That's what they
100%.
do. Vice versa, we could go out on the street right now and find somebody who is taking a few photography classes and a few video classes and hand them like a red, right?
Yeah.
And be like, go to town, and you're gonna
And
get it
they have
back, and it's
no-
gonna be trash.
Yeah.
It's just a tool.
The mind blowing part is like there's tons of videos on the internet too that like completely debunk that idea of that like the gear means everything or like you have to have a professional camera, this, that, and the other. Like they have videos where they take like an amateur and give them like a $20,000 setup, and then like a professional, and here's $300 camera, like, and the results are like mind blowingly like different.
Yeah,
So it's always the gear. You buy gear to make your job easier. Like I've shot weddings with less than an R3. Like I've shot on a Sony A7 III, A7S3, sorry. Um, I've shot weddings on a A7 II. Like it can be done.
the first wedding I ever shot. Now, granted, it was for free. We were just getting into video. We had done
Yeah.
photography for a while, but the first wedding I ever shot was on a A6500.
But you did it.
And guess what? The client again, and we'll get into that, but your client expectations, right? Every client's going to expect something different. This is like a free gift for them, and we were very upfront, like, hey, we're just getting into it. We're going to do it for free because we're still
Yeah.
practicing, and they were over the moon because they got it for free, right?
Yeah.
And they got it. Was it the best? I look back on it now, I'm like, man, dude,
This-
that's rough. But the client was still appreciative, and they loved it for what it was.
Yeah.
Right. So the gear is just that. I mean, it's just that. It's just the gear.
Yeah.
But you buy gear again to make your life more convenient.
Exactly.
You buy gear, and at some point, yes, you do need to upgrade your gear.
Yes.
There are so many people out there, photographers and videographers, and I see what they're charging, and then I see what they're using, and I'm like, again,
It's wrong
you
a
never
lot of
want to
the
be that
time.
person. It's like you shouldn't be charging this based on what you're shooting with, right? Because again, it's just a tool. But there is a line in the sand,
Yes.
right? You can't be charging people $5,000-$6,000 and on like shooting like an M50 with a kit
Right.
lens. Like you just can't do that,
No.
man.
It's like I don't know. It's like if somebody from Hollywood like came and gave you like, hey, we want this movie that is going to be in theaters. We want you to shoot it, and you show up with like an R5C. Like, is it a capable camera? Absolutely. Is it Netflix approved? Yes. But is it cinema like Hollywood movie approved? No.
No.
Like they're paying you thousands upon thousands of dollars to shoot this, if not like $1 million budget to shoot that film.
I was about to say,
So like you're renting out like something like an Airy or at least like a Sony Venice, like you're going above what that camera is anywhere close to. And you're looking at the image and what you can control. Like a lot of people buy these kinds of cameras for run and gun situations, for smaller business stuff like we do. Like it needs to be able to do multiple different things because we're a one guy team majority of the time.
Right.
Maybe two, three, probably max. And a lot of these movies are shot with like 15, 20 people on set, like, and they're not even actors.
When you have one guy whose sole job is to pull focus for you, right?
You're in a different league.
You're in a different league. And that's, again, another really unpopular thing that people don't like talking about.
Yeah.
One of these days, if you're in this industry long enough and you are actively pushing yourself and you want to make a living in it, at some point you're going to catch a break. And someone's going to be like, hey, I want to hire you for this job, right? And depending on the level of that job, that initial upfront payment should, again, most people are going to put it in the bank, right? No, you need to go out and rent what you don't have and what you need,
Exactly.
right? I cannot tell you how many people that I look up to, and probably some of the same people you look up to,
Probably.
that, $100,000 job, $150,000 job, and they're getting 30% up front, and that 30% goes from their hands straight to whatever gear they need to rent. They don't see a dime of it, right?
Yeah.
But that's when you get to that point, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, but you already know, and then that's already like been done multiple times, just on like probably smaller budgets and stuff like that. But I don't know. In our industry, like we buy our gear. Like in the wedding industry, like you own it.
Yeah.
There's nothing really to rent because you're going to be broke by the time you're done renting everything every single wedding. So for us, it's an investment, and it has to be able to do like multiple different things for us at the same time. So I don't know. Like, I mean, this industry has changed so much. Like, you've been in it 3 years.
Yeah, professionally 3 years, and what I rolled into is so much different than like someone who started last year or someone who started 10 years ago, right? And that's I think what makes this industry so different than a lot of things.
Yeah.
Depending on when you start, you're going to run into every person's going to run into a very different, unique set of challenges, whether that be keeping up with certain trends or certain ideas that people have. Because believe it or not, brides, as much as you are on Instagram as well.
Yes.
And they see something and they're like,
It's
I want
so
that,
different.
right? And then you have to be able to recreate it. But the challenges that everyone faces, depending on when they enter the industry, it's crazy to me to talk about it and like think about it. Like we came in during COVID, right?
Oh gosh.
Which most people thought would be a terrible time to do it, but it all worked out, and here we are now. And like, me and my wife Sarah, we both have full-time jobs, so we were doing it on the side. So we were essentially working 3 full-time jobs, because if you don't know about it's a full-time job.
It's a full-time job.
And then it got to the point where I just kept noticing, like, I would ask her about her daytime job, and it's whatever. And I asked her about, like, oh, how was the shoot? And it was like talking to a completely different person, right?
Yeah.
She was happy to talk about
The
it.
excitement.
She wanted to talk about it. So it got to the point where she went full-time first, and I told her, like, hey, if this is something that you want and you want to go full-time, you have to dive in head first. There is no hesitation, because if you hesitate, it's not going to work. It's going to fail.
Yep.
And she went full-time first, and about 6 months after that, maybe closer to 6 to 8 months, she finally sat me down. It's super ironic, because I'm the one that told her to go full-time and just to jump in.
Yeah.
But then when it came time for me to go full-time, I was hesitant about it, and I didn't want to let go of my job. I had benefits. I had a 401k. I had, your very stable job.
Yeah.
And she finally sat me down one day. She goes, look, we're going to sit at this table, and we're going to pull up everything, and we're going to look at all the numbers, and we're not going to get up until we make a decision. And we sat there for probably the better part of 2 hours, looking at spreadsheets, looking at what we have been paid versus like what we still are going to get paid. And there was a lot of tears, and at some point there was a lot of yelling. Yeah, but at the end of it, we made the decision for me to go full time, and I will tell you, I have not looked back since, and it's been probably the best decision I've ever made.
It is. It's scary though. Like I feel like not enough people talk about that part. They're like, yeah, I went full time. You can do it too.
It's
and you're
terrifying.
like, yay, thanks. Like I appreciate the encouragement, but I need a little bit of realistic like expectations. How scary is it? It's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Like nobody talks about that as much, but it's like because I mean even now, like right now, it's like slow season for weddings because it's like here it's just getting like crazy hot.
Yeah, we don't call it slow season in my house. It's called ramen season.
Ramen. Hey, don't hate on ramen, dog. I love ramen. I'll eat that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Well, guess what? In Florida in July, you almost have to in this industry. So
Yeah, that's fair. So like, here's the thing. It's like, it's the same for everyone though. Like everyone would be like, bro, it's amazing. Like it's great. And then all of a sudden you don't hear from them for a while. And you're like, hey, bro, you okay? And you're like, we haven't had a booking in a little while.
Yeah.
So like, but like that's the industry. That's how it goes. And like, but here's the thing. It's like when I went full time, which was like a year or two before COVID. I think it was 1 year. I can't remember. All that time's now a blur. But like when I went full time, like it was terrifying because like I did hair for 10 years.
yeah,
So for me to like jump completely and leave that, like I had security, like I had like a business I was already working for and stuff like that. And to leave that, it was like I had built a clientele over 10 years. Like the hair industry, you stack it up and you work hard and you just have repeat client after repeat client. And you know them, like you know what house they live in, you know cars they drive, you know their family, extended family.
Oh, yeah.
People you don't want to know, stories you didn't want to hear about. Like
Oh, I'm
you
sure.
know them inside and out. And just to like leave it all and ditch it is kind of it's a little scary. And it was wild because like my first year full time, I doubled what I made in hair. And I had been doing it for 10 years.
right.
And so like doubling my income just from going full time, I was like, yeah, I'm I'm good. I will never probably pick up scissors again except to maybe do my wife's hair, but that's about it.
Yeah, and for you guys, like you guys that started, like for you that went full time before COVID, I can only imagine because like for us, COVID had happened and it was
Yeah.
going on. We were kind of like in the middle of it, so we knew what was happening. I can't even begin to imagine or even sympathize with some of you guys that may be listening that went full time right before COVID or like you, because
Yeah.
it's like, hey, I'm doing it, it's working, and then all of a sudden, bam,
Oh, it was like
it's
a brick
it's
wall.
not happening. And
Yeah.
for that, I can only imagine the stress and like
It was a little wild.
and the sleepless nights. Because I know, like for me personally, I can't speak to everybody, but if that was me, I would have
it was-
lost a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
Um,
It was
but-
hard, but we made it through. It's one of those things, you know, it's like sink or swim.
right.
Like
You have to.
when you jump into it full time, I have to finish this job.
Yeah.
It's not I want to do it or I don't feel like working today. It doesn't work like that. It's not like you're going into McDonald's or something for your shift and then like you're checking out and you're like, oh, or like I'm gonna call out today. It's you have a job next week and you need these SD cards, so you have to finish the current one you have in order to use the same cards.
Oh, yeah.
And you also have like contracts that are deadlines. And these contracts, these people can take to court and they can win. So you have to finish your job, otherwise you will be bankrupt and
Yes.
you will be on the street. Like
And so many
it's
people,
a do or die thing. It sounds harsh, but it's so real.
not enough people talk about that.
No.
Right. Everyone again is like, oh, I went full time. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
You should do it too. There's such a dark side to that too,
It
and not
is.
like a dark side, like a bad side, but like the side that like the dark side of me, like no one talks about it.
No-
right.
no
Like
one does.
Hey, if we don't do well enough, we're not gonna eat. If we don't do well enough, I can't pay the rent.
Yeah.
Or keep the lights on, or like
Or keep our car.
or like that hard conversation like, hey, this month I have to pick and choose what bills to pay because we didn't do well enough, right?
Yeah.
What can I let go, some stuff like that, like.
Yeah.
And luckily we have never been in that position yet.
No,
And hopefully never
but-
will be, but I know there's people out there that are.
Yeah.
For sure there are people out there that are, and it's not talked about
No.
because no one wants to talk about that, right?
Yeah.
It's
It's not as positive or happy go lucky as Instagram or anything like that. Like you always keep in mind like Instagram is a highlight reel. It's a
it's
highlight.
the peak. That is
You will
the
only
best
see the
of
best of the best.
Yeah.
That's all people are going to show you there. So when you compare your life or your photos or your videos to people that are on the internet, you're not giving yourself a fair chance, and you're just doing yourself a disservice.
Right.
Like, but here's the thing: us as creatives, we all go through that.
I was say,
There's always that dark moment where you're like, I'm just not liking my stuff, and then you go on the internet, which is the worst thing you can do.
oh my gosh.
But you're only going on there to maybe I can find some inspiration, and you just feel worse about yourself, and you're just like, you beat yourself up.
Because inevitably, like, you've been doing this like what 8-10 years now, right?
Yeah, 8 years.
You go online to find some inspiration. Inevitably, what you're gonna find is that dude in that videographer page is like, "Oh, I've been doing it for 6 months. Here's my first one. Let me look at it." And you're like, "What the world, man? Like, this dude's killing it. Like, he's been doing it for 6 months."
Because there's always two things, and it's the same in every industry, like photo, video, or not. Like, it is, like, okay, bro is thumping on his motorcycle. This room isn't as soundproof as we thought, but it's fine. It
adds to the moment.
It's downtown, so like, what can you ask for? What more? But I kind of forgot what I was saying.
No, we were talking about like when you go online, right?
Oh,
yeah. There's always like two very polarized sides.
Okay, I got it. So like, sorry, I have like ADHD, and sometimes it's like I'll lose track 1,000% of what I was talking about. So maybe that's just 32.
Oh, you're 32?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it hits you hard.
You don't look a day over 27.
Good. Let's keep it that way.
Camera adds like 6 months. So
6 months. 6 months. Those 6 months, man. But like, it's the same in every industry, and there's always like two things, and it's talent and there's hard work. You'll see talented people in the creative industry all day long, and they're phenomenal. Like, some of the stuff they come up with, and like, you'll see, like, as videographers, you'll see like a wild transition. You'll be like, how the actual crap did they, first of all, think of that?
Yeah.
And B, execute it? Like, that was amazing and stuff like that. But the downside of like talented people is a lot of stuff comes to them naturally, and they end up getting like drained after so much, because they're used to having everything so easy.
I'm about to say, in the moment that they don't have, like, it stops coming to them, the tank is empty.
Yeah, and then they panic, and then they get depressed, and it's like, I can't do this, I'm a failure. And you're like, are you kidding me? Like, look at your track record, bro. Like, you're phenomenal at this. And they need that pep talk sometimes. That, like,
dude, I think we all do.
We all do.
We all do.
We all do.
Because you are always going to be your biggest critic, right?
1,000%.
No one is ever going to judge you as hard as you judge your own work.
Oh,
and I know that we have had those talks together
100 times.
And everyone in our friend group, in our friend circle, we have had those talks either to them or from them. Yeah. Right. And it's needed. But everybody, if you are in the creative industry, there's going to come a point in time where you look at all of your stuff and you're going to be like, I suck. I
hate it all. Let me just sell all my gear. But like, I don't know. That's when like you really have to put. I hate that term too, but whatever.
Word number 2.
Like the pedal to the metal. Like, you really have to like put all in, even when you hate it. Like, you have to get the work done, because that's this industry. Like, you have to do it if you want to keep pushing forward. You're probably gonna hate it. You probably won't like it. You probably definitely want to like just delete the whole project. I've almost done that on a few of my own like personal short films, that I'm like, I want to do this, I need to do it, and then I get to the end, I'm like, this sucks. This whole thing is trash. Like, I'm watching this color grade is awful. Like, what is going on here?
But you know what's crazy about that? The majority of the time, when you put it out, it's something that everybody loves. Yeah, I cannot tell you. I have been in the middle of a wedding edit and just been like, I got through it, and I'm like, man, it is what it is. Like, and literally have said out loud to my wife, like, if they want a refund, we'll give them a refund, because I thought it was that bad. Pushed it to them, and probably within like 5 minutes, didn't get a text message, got a phone call from the groom, like,
really,
literally, and the groom, like, I can hear like the shakiness in his voice, and he's like, I don't know how you did it, but it's perfect.
See,
5 minutes before that, I literally was out loud saying, if they want a refund, they can get one, because it was that bad in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's
hard sometimes. Like, I even so I had to pump out like 2 wedding films in a week, which not recommended, and that was rough. But like, got it done, and I did personally did not like either of them. I was like, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was shooting. I don't know what I actually captured. Like, and I'm watching the films back, and I'm like, this sucks. This is just not good. Like, if they got mad at me and asked me to like re-edit it, I'd redo it. Like, but like at that time, I was like, I have to meet my deadline, and so I sent both of them, and then like I always forget that my wife watches them before she sends them.
Right.
On on them, watches both of them. And she comes back. These are your best films. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? And she's like, no, like I love it. I teared up on this one, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe it turned out better than I thought.
And that's
like,
how it works. Like
it's
the
crazy.
majority of the time, that's how it works. So like as a creative, you just have to remember that you may feel terrible about it, and you may not love it, but try to take a step back and look at it. You know, take a break because there's so many times we spend so many hours in front of a screen, or you shot it, so you know what everything looks like. You color grade, and you've spent so much time looking at the same footage over and over again.
That's the worst.
You got to step back, especially when it's done. When it's finished and you're like, I hate it, go do something else. Clear your mind and come back and look at it. The majority of the time, you're going to realize, like, okay, it's not that bad. It's actually got some really good. It's actually pretty good. Sarah does the same thing for me. There would be, like, random shots that I'm just like, oh, let me get that. And she'll, you know, because she looks through all this stuff, too, before we send it out. And she's like, that shot's amazing. I'm like, the shot of, like, their shoes in the sand? Like, what are you talking about? She goes, yeah, it's great. And, like, the clients, you know, will send them like, oh, I'm so happy you got, like, I didn't even know you got this. I'm like, well, it's just like a little B-roll shot. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. But
me either.
You have to learn as a creative, like, remove yourself sometimes. Take a step back and then look at it from a wider perspective.
Yeah.
Because if not, you are going to get in a constant cycle.
Yeah. Of just hating
hating it. And that's not a good place to be.
No. But, I mean, we can call this one there, but, like, man, I feel like that was like more of like a real talk episode, which actually wasn't as planned as we thought. But
no,
like,
it's completely off the.
But the nice thing is, I feel like you got a real understanding of who Drake is and who we are as like on this podcast and where we're coming from. Very realistic. We're not fluffing you up. And when we talk about things, like we want to give you the best perspective on it that we can possibly give you guys. So, and girls.
Everybody.
Everybody.
But no, like it's but that's what you can expect from this, right? It's there's not a lot of filler, if any, right?
We're not going
to sugarcoat anything good or bad. It is what it is. Like, and we're going to talk about things that a lot of people think about and just don't say it, right? Because a lot of it needs to be talked about.
Yeah, and a lot of it just doesn't ever happen. But hopefully you guys like this first episode.
Absolutely.
We got quite an interesting like season up and coming. So hope you guys stay tuned, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.